We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Harris, would you mind leading us in the flag salute today?
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. One quick comment before we get to presentations. I was not at the last meeting, but would like to extend a warm welcome to Newton Shillette. I'm glad to have you on board, and good to see you here.
Thank you.
Presentations. We have the presentation of the Meritorious Service Awards. Presenters, Captain Bob Johnson.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. Hope you don't mind me having my back to you as I make this presentation, but this is an honor for us. We've been doing at the council meetings, we've been recognizing personnel who are done above and beyond what we ask of our personnel at the station, and a meritorious service is not an internal thing from the station. It's a department award, and it takes quite a bit to get recognized at this level. So I'm really honored to be able to do this here in this forum, because I think the personnel being recognized today deserve this recognition. And it actually goes to the group that most of the public aren't necessarily happy to see all the time, and that's because it's our traffic personnel. It involves our traffic deputies and our motor program. So what I'd like to do is call up their lieutenant and their sergeant, Lieutenant Ed Ralston and Sergeant Paul Dino. And what kind of prompted this award is, if you remember a few weeks back, traffic program for the city of Lancaster made some historical strides and was recognized as the second safest city in California due to some of the things that the city has been doing in partnership with the traffic enforcement program. So we wrote a nomination for our personnel for being part of that achievement and sent it up. And this is an award that actually has to go all the way up to chain of command and get approved by the sheriff. So again, it's very noteworthy and very deserving. And what it reads, and I'll call the personnel up in a minute, is that they're all going to receive a commendation and a meritorious service pin, which they're allowed to wear in their uniform. But in recognition of the outstanding effort while assigned in Lancaster Station Traffic Detail, your team was responsible for greatly improving driver safety and security and the quality of life for the residents of the city of Lancaster by greatly reducing the overall incidence of traffic accidents. Your hard work and dedication truly exemplifies a tradition of service, our core values, and the department creed. So I'd like to call up the following personnel. Deputy Mike Burke, I want to call all of you up and then we'll present this. Monty Buckaloo, Justin Fisk, Paul Statzman, John Thorne, Rick Wells, and John White. Now, not only are they responsible for our daily traffic enforcement, they're the ones you see a lot of the time helping us with our community events and making sure pedestrians are safe. A lot of the big events we've had recently, whether it was the Boulevard or the Magical Christmas or some of the crowds of 30 to 35,000 that we've had, the motors are the ones that are able to negotiate the traffic flow in and out of the crowds to keep everybody safe. So their value to us is immense, and we appreciate their efforts. So with that, can I have you all line up and we'll present you with your commendation and your pin. Then get a photograph. Just right here. We'll line up here. John? This John. And just so you know, Justin here, if he can't catch you on the motorcycle, he'll get off and he'll run a marathon to catch you. He's one of our elite marathon runners. Do you guys have the pins? Okay. They all have it? Okay, all of us. We'll get up there. Somebody, where's Pat? You have a camera? Chairman, would you like to come down and be part of this photograph? And just for a moment, I'd like the traffic personnel to turn around and look at the crime commission, because these are the ones, if you pull them over, you give them 2 citations. Yes. Marv, why don't you come on one end and we'll just... Good bookend. Pat, you going to be able to get that one? Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations. Do we have that? We have, I'm sorry, we have 2, right? Just one other award we'd like to present. And this, again, is something that we feel just is worthy of public recognition. Is tenure is always a value to law enforcement. The experience is just unparalleled when it comes to getting what we need out of our personnel, and the depth of experience is immense for this one individual. And we'd like to take the opportunity to recognize him for 30 years of service, and he's still going strong and plans to keep going for a few more years. And with that, I'd like to give Rick Wells his 30-year pen and pencil set. So congratulations. And with in another 20 years, he'll get his watch. So that also goes for a couple of legendary lawmen. And to do this is another recognition. It takes we have a lot of people that work patrol. They come in, they do a few years, and they move on. But the legendary lawman pin is when they've been in patrol for 10 years or more, and both these individuals have reached that level, at least at a minimum level. So they both being recognized for the legendary lawman pin, and that's Deputy John Thorne and Monty Buckaloo. Okay, and with that, that ends our recognition for these personnel, and thank you again.
Well, we have one quick question up here, if we could, Captain Johnson.
Captain, the marathon man, did he beat you in the last race? Smart man.
Now, before these gentlemen leave, I just want to, on behalf of the Criminal Justice Commission and, of course, the City of Lancaster, we'd like to thank you for the service that you provide for making these streets safer to be on for all. So, again, thank you, and you're to be commended. Okay, moving on, public business from the floor, agendized items. Just real briefly, citizens who would like to address the Criminal Justice Commission on any agendized item may do so when the item is being considered by the Commission. Please complete a speaker card and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Consent calendar, approval of the minutes. Commission members, did you have a chance to take a look at those minutes? And if so, could I get a motion, please?
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the November 9th Criminal Justice Commission meeting.
Call for the question. Please vote. Thank you. Commission staff presentations, updates, and reports. Monthly crime stats, Mr. Jim Cobalt, Senior Criminal Justice Analyst.
Thank you, Chairman Vieira. This report will be for the 5 weeks covered from November 6th to December 10th from our last Criminal Justice Commission meeting to present. As we look at the numbers, we see a little bit of activity happening in weeks 45, 46, and 47. There's some explanation that goes with those numbers, and I think Captain Johnson will take care of that when we get to his section. They had some operations going on that resulted in a little bit of a spiking of the Part 1s related to larcenies. And then things kind of settled back down again. We fell into a pattern of you see in week 47, 78, down to 59 Part 1s in week 48 and 69 in week 49. The property crime arrests in week 45 and week 46 are also kind of illustrate some of the activity that they had going on over at the station. For the November Criminal Justice Commission report, we reported a weekly average of 70.5 Part 1s with a median of also 70.5. We have a weekly average of 73.2 in this report. However, the median, which is the middle number, is down to 69, so we're showing a decline. We've got what the median kind of weeds out is that outliner week where we had a lot of activity and we were up a little bit. For the most active reporting districts during the measurement period, tied for first place was 1127 and 1135, and again that goes back to the activity that they had or the operations that they had going on. Both of those were in 1127 and 1135, followed by 1130 or 1138, which came in at a kind of a distant second with 38, 1126, 1130, or with 30, 1121, 1132 with 21, and 1133 and 1192 with 19. When we take a look at these, is how they map out. I think rather than going individually through each respective reporting district that we had up there, I just wanted to kind of point out a few areas of heavy concentration that we see around the city during this particular reporting period. Again, the area from Division over to 20th Street on J continues to be rather problematic, and kind of week after week, month after month, we visit the Part 1 activity in this area. Then up on Avenue I at 5th Street East and 25th Street East, we see some activity centered around those particular areas as well. When we get over to the west side of Sierra, we drop down and pick up Avenue I and 10th Street West, the area that's kind of south and west of Avenue J and Sierra Highway, 10th Street West and Avenue K, 20th Street West and Avenue K, and then the heavy density area over along Valley Central Way from Lancaster down to Avenue J. And again, a couple of the red areas up there, the ones over here on Valley Central Way and the one over at 20th Street East and Avenue J, that's again where they had some of their major operations going, so that's why those areas are lit up the way they are. Get into residence burglaries. None of the reporting districts reported over 10 during that time period. So the highest that we had was in 1132, which was 9 residential burglaries. Then we drop down to 8 in 1137 and 1192. Then we're down to 7 on 1133 and 6 on 1127. Larcenies involving vehicles, the most frequent area or the most frequent reporting district was 1135 with 11, followed by 1137 with 7 and 1126 with 4. As we take a look at the trends for the 52-week period, again, we're always on the right. And again, one of the things that I want to point out here is this is not crime rate, this is crime frequency. And it looks at the variance in the frequency from week to week. Generally, when we measure crime rate, we take an N number at the end of a quarter and we measure it against population to determine our rate. So what we're taking a look at here again is some of the things that are going on inside the numbers, and they kind of tell us again where we need to be focusing and where some of our energies ought to be. In addition to that, you can also see some of the progress. For example, you can see burglary trending up here a little bit or showing an upward trend. However, if you take a look at the last 4 weeks that are displayed here, you can see that things are down quite a bit. We had the one spike in about week 48 looking back, but aside from that, things are well below the baseline. For larceny, again, we see larceny trending up here, and we see a few weeks there, particularly out of the last 3, 2 of the weeks are above the baseline. But again, that goes back to the operations that they were running in conjunction with some of our merchants. Grand theft auto, while we see an upward trend there, if you take a look at the range, particularly for the last 10 to 15 weeks, you can see the range pretty much stays between about 4 and 10. We've got a couple of weeks that we elevated above that, but that's a pretty good number for us, especially when you consider we average, or we have averaged 13.49 auto thefts per week. When you're staying in that range of below 10 significantly, those are good numbers for our city. And of course, arson again is one of those really low frequency crimes where if you have 1 or 2 or 3, it really makes it look like something's going on there, but it's about average for us. Trending flat, here's the good news. Some significant resources have really been put towards robbery in our city, and as we take a look at what's going on with robbery, you can see the green line there that goes across, that's our trend line, and you can see it's laying there flat. That's a good thing. And you can take a look at what's gone on in the last few weeks. Only 1 week did we get above 8, and all of the rest of the time we're down around or below the baseline, which is indicated by the blue line right here. When we get to the crime of rape, we can see that it's trending down now. Again, it's one of those very low frequency crimes for us. We averaged less than 2 per week, so you can see in the most recent weeks we've really been pretty flat on it. So we take a look at assault, we can see some good news here as well. Assault is trending down. Now what's interesting, when you take a look at assault, we average about 15.84 per week. The baseline for assault is way up here, and our numbers are down here. And our trend line is trending down around and crossing over the line of 8 per week. So that's roughly almost half of what we ordinarily have, so that's good news. This map, and again, I want to remind the council that this is available on our city web page. You can go to the public safety web page, maps and information area, and you can download this if you want to take a look at it, and also for the public. This is the way that the crime lays out across the city during the reporting period. We had a total of 366 Part 1 crimes that we geocoded to the city limits of the city of Lancaster. You can see by the legend down here at the bottom, you can see by reporting district which reporting districts had over 21 or over Part 1 crimes, 13 to 20 Part 1 crimes, 5 to 12 Part 1 crimes, 1 to 4 Part 1 crimes, and then 0. This is our trend analysis for the time period, and what we did here was we compared the 5 weeks of this measurement period to the previous 5 weeks. The red area, or the red concentrations up here, are where we've seen increased activity in Part 1 activity, and the green areas are where we've seen a decrease when we compare the two time periods together. This is our forecast for the month of December. Of course, we're well into the month of December now, but you can see we produced this back on November 30th. This is also available on the web page and as part of this handout. You can see the areas that we're looking at for the heaviest activity during this time are 1137, 1135, 1121, 1127, and 1125. As we take a look at calls for service over the 50 weeks represented on this graph going back to January 1st of this particular year, you can see we're still showing an uptick, or at least our trend line is showing an uptick in calls for service. But if you go back about 10 to 15 weeks, you can start to see a steady decline there, and we'll probably see that throughout the remainder of the winter season at least. And we have a repeat calls report, and we can see on here, of course, Antelope Valley Hospital led the way with 57, followed by Windrose Apartments over on Division with 27, Friendly Village Mobile Home Park with 23, Walmart West on Valley Central Way had 17, 530 West Jackman Arbor Field Apartments had 15, Target Corporation down at 10th and K had 12. The sheriff's station calling deputies in out of the field, take reports and things like that, there were 11 of those. Cambridge Lane Department of Corrections, that was a new one for us, popped on there. Over on Pioneer Court, there were 11 there. That was, from looking at the data, it looked like an alarm problem that they had. Briarwood Mobile Home Park with 11. Eastside High School with 11, and that was an alarm problem as well from the looks of the data. And then Arbor Court Apartments with 10, for a total of 205 records in these particular data. Essentially, that's all I've got. Questions?
No, thank you very much. Arrest statistics. Is Sergeant Silvies our representative here today?
Lieutenant Ralston.
Lieutenant Ralston.
Good morning. For the month of November, we had a total of 1,015 arrests for the station. 176 of those were Part 1 arrests, and 832 were Part 2 arrests. One significant or notable increase would be the burglary from approximately 34 total to 71, and as Jim mentioned, would be related to that retail operation and increase in shopping for Christmas and the holidays. We had a couple of incidents besides the retail that are notable. The Lancaster the LANCAP team tracked down a violent robbery suspect at Palmdale and arrested him. The guy was out on a 17-year suspended sentence and had only been out for 1 week when he committed a home invasion robbery. And they were on him for about 6 days before locating him in Palmdale. He's looking at another 25 years on this one. We also recovered a quarter pound of methamphetamine, made an arrest for sales, and recovered $5,000 on Redwood Avenue in Lancaster. That's about it.
Hearing no comments or questions, we'll move on to California Highway Patrol update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Captain Uria regrets not being able to be here this morning.
Welcome.
He had other commitments. Our area investigated one fatal collision resulting in misdemeanor prosecution in November, and it was not DUI related, just for information. Our DUI arrests for November were up 25% for the same month last year, and DUI collisions were down. DUI, PCF collisions, primary collision factor collisions. Thanksgiving MEP period, our arrests were up about 33% compared to the same weekend last year. Our Arrive Alive campaign is going on now, began December 1, and it goes through the end of September next year. And that's focusing on trying to reduce the DUI collisions that result in fatalities and injuries. And it's going to be all along the 14 freeway. We're actually partnering with Newhall area CHP as well in that. We had one unusual arrest for our area last month involving prosecuting for animal cruelty. One of our officers stopped a vehicle on Pear Blossom vicinity 42nd, I think it was 42nd Street East, I believe, for a possible DUI. And there were 4 occupants in the vehicle, and the officer observed items that would support suspicion of animal cruelty / cockfighting in this case. And so all 4 occupants were arrested for 597A PC. That's pretty much it.
Excuse me. With the holidays right around the corner here, are you proactive with DUI checkpoints at all this year?
Yes, we have a couple DUI checkpoints scheduled for December and a couple roving patrols as well.
And they will be in Lancaster?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and move on to item number 5, report on neighborhood impact program. Commissioner Harris.
Good morning. I have a lot of good news that I want to report, but I think first I just want to reiterate how this whole partnership works, and it is the thing that keeps us going. The partnership with the city, the partnership with the schools that we have, and also just the partnership with all of the other organizations with the PACE community. I don't think I've seen another community that works as well as we do together. And with the law enforcement, even you have 2 different sectors that are working together well. I just think it really speaks well for our community. So today, the kids at all the houses are going to be really, really excited, and that's because the mayor is going to go by and give away 5 bikes at each one of the neighborhood homes. And so their interest, definitely, they're going to be really excited to see the mayor and just to have that happen, I think. But I think the other thing that I think is really very good is that the mayor is not just going to give them the bike. The kids are going to get the bike, but then they have to assemble it with their parents, and so that they'll have, some parent and child time together. And then the city's also providing experts on how to put the bikes together. So I think the whole thing is just going to work out, really well, and I'll be excited to report about that next month. We're also working with the Martin Luther King Workday, so we're really ramping up, and we're starting this Saturday. The focus is going to be Antelope Valley High School. They're celebrating their 100th centennial next year, and so we want to do our part to help them with that. So we're going to be refurbishing the inside of their small gym that's been there for I don't know how long it's been there. Many years. It's been there for a long time. So it's going to be completely repainted, and we're going to completely redo the bleachers, and so it's going to have a modern retro feel about it. So if you have, we're an alumni of Antelope Valley High School, then look forward to some of the festivities I know that they're planning for this next year. And if you want to be a part of the Martin Luther King Workday, then certainly come on January the 14th to help us to clean up the campus. And there's some other things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be just major cleanup of Antelope Valley High School. We're really excited to be a part of that. Antelope Valley Partners for Health is also in partnership with Neighborhood Impact. They're part of Neighborhood Impact, and they're just really doing some great things. They actually brought their caravan to do vaccines and physicals at AV High School, and so it's surprising the number of high school kids that need these kinds of services, and again, they're not charging for those. And on the Martin Luther King Workday, what they're going to be doing is they're going to have their mobile dental van out there, so they're going to be doing teeth cleaning, and they're going to have a visual exam. And they've taken it a step further and sort of emulated what we're doing at the neighborhood homes. They have taken some of the kids at Antelope Valley High School, the honor kids, and all of them who put in 20 hours of volunteer work tutoring the kids at Paiute School, then they get 5 credits for that. And so it's a great thing. It's a great thing for the community, for the kids, for Antelope Valley Partners for Health, for Neighborhood Impact, and so we're just all overlapping and helping the community. So I couldn't be happier about what it is that I'm seeing with all of us working together. So that's my report.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I wanted to add something to that okay. There's 2 things. One's a correction and one's thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Harris because she's right. This is amazing what this city does, but it really is the community. You know, the city sets it there and the community really takes hold, and we really appreciate your efforts. You said that the city is providing experts to put the bike together. These are 2 of them. We're certainly not experts, so it's going to take a while to put those bikes together. And lastly, we'd be remiss not recognizing, while the mayor is donating the bikes on his own, part of that donation and part of the reason that we're able to do so many is because Walmart and Bicycle John stepped up and really gave us good deals. We gave him good deals on both. And we have 2 representatives from Walmart here today. The manager of the East Side Walmart, Jolie Clooney, and the manager of the West Side Walmart, Ray Coombs. So I think we ought to give them a hand, too, for being community.
Thank you very much. And it is amazing when you think about, again, the partnerships, not to overdo it, that within the agencies, within the schools, within the churches as well, and the results of that makes a huge positive impact within this community here. And it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for all your efforts as well.
You're welcome.
Business Watch Subcommittee update. Mr. Dorico.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just an announcement today, Megan Canal is going to be going to meet with the Chamber Luncheon today to promote Business Watch within the business partners that are involved in the Chamber. It's just another way we're trying to reach out to the business community to become active community partners in this program. And also, we have, through the holidays, and if you've been out shopping, you've probably seen the deputies there working in the holiday patrol and all the shopping centers throughout the city, and that's part of something that we do every year at holiday time, just to take a proactive approach to be visible out there. And the deputies, I've gotten some great comments back from the business people in the community about the deputies are parking the cars, they're actually walking around in the centers, they're getting to know people, they're walking through the different businesses and just being highly visible. And I think that, it shows a real positive impact on some of the things we're seeing statistically. Just the last comment on the operations that the captain and his staff performed in November. It's kind of a dual-edged sword. As we all talk about crime stats and Part 1 statistics, and we kind of gauge our success based on that, the reality of it is that if you're going to put more feet on the ground, you're going to find more things that are going on. Ultimately, what we hope to see from the result of that, and I believe we're seeing it in the weeks following, is that it made such an impact out there on maybe the criminal element that was considering doing these things that we saw a great reduction after that period of larcenies. So it's something we definitely need to do to be proactive. At the same time, everyone needs to understand that there's going to be results from that proactive approach, and then hopefully over time that has an effect that diminishes that activity. And that's it on Business Watch.
Thank you. And we do have one speaker card on item 6, Mr. Lyle Talbot.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to read a letter to the editor that I submitted in early December, and it was published on the 6th of December. And it's titled, Cops Better Utilized Patrolling the Beat. As did another letter writer, I also question the use of plainclothes Lancaster deputies in Operation Sticky Fingers, an anti-theft program at local stores. Shouldn't the store owners have to bear the cost of plainclothes security personnel instead of we, the taxpayers? Uniformed law enforcement should be on the beat, as I heard they are, in the neighborhoods and the business districts to deter crime and if a theft occurs, only then they should be called to book the suspects. This writer further believes this issue should be openly discussed at both the council and criminal justice meetings before any more taxpayer funds are expended. Caveat emptor. By myself, Lyle Talbot. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, public safety update. Mr. Dorico.
Yes, at this time, what I'd like to do is I would like to tell the floor. At the last meeting, you requested us to look into some ordinances by Southern California cities they've enacted regarding 290 offenders, and specifically how for the holiday season. So at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Commissioner Capel.
Okay. Last month, I asked for it to be agendized on this committee, but it wasn't done. So what we'll do is, we were able to get the ordinance from Ontario. It's ordinance number 2941. Each of you have that. What I would like to do is review this very carefully and possibly set up a subcommittee to actually go to Ontario and talk to the representatives there that put this bill together. We want to find out if it's been challenged in court, because if we do vote on this and send it to the City Council, we want to make sure there is no possibility of us being challenged in a financial difficulty to our city. So if that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask for a subcommittee be formed on this.
Absolutely. Do you know the timeline from which you would like to visit Ontario? You know, have any idea, Jim, when you might want to do that?
I would like to do it within the month and then have it agendized next month,
Okay, okay.
if that's possible for everybody.
Chairman Vieira, I can certainly contact the city there and see what their availability is and relate that out to whoever the committee members may be to set a time, and either they ask them if they'd like to travel here or if we would travel there. There's also, I believe, Commissioner Capel has one for Riverside as well, so maybe comparatively we could make copies of that for you before you leave today to provide you with the opportunity to read both of them and then make a determination from there.
Okay, and if you get a hold of Ontario, that'd be great. Take a look at that. Are there any commissioners that would, at this time, declare an interest in being a part of that, Mr. Flett? Great, great. Okay. I will go ahead and claim that I will, but I'd also say that if Mr. Fuller has a desire, I would defer to him, but if not, I would be happy to be a part of that as well.
Okay,
So that would make up that 3.
Right, and I would like to be on that too.
Okay. Okay, anything further with regards to public safety update? No? Okay, and we do have one speaker card on this one as well. Mr. Talbot?
Thanks again. I've been before this body here before about an assault that occurred on National Night Out August 2nd this year by our public safety officer, Mr. Rico, on myself, because I tried to demonstrate and call attention to a couple of matters here in the valley, and he tried to have me expelled from the park, and I refused to leave until I was damn good and ready. But Palmdale took a courtesy report, but it never showed up in Lancaster, so I appealed to the captain in Palmdale to file another report, which he did, forwarded it to the Lancaster Detective Bureau, and they have informed me that the case is going to the district attorney, and we'll await the outcome. Thank you very much.
Public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the Criminal Justice Commission on any item not on the agenda. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter will be referred to staff. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and we have one speaker card. Mr. Paul, David Paul.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, good morning, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whichever you prefer. This is a festive time of year, isn't it? There's evidence that humankind has been celebrating the winter solstice for thousands of years, so whatever you call this time of the year, it's a wonderful time when peace on earth and goodwill towards each other is supposed to break out. I feel it. I hope you all do too. I went last night to the meeting with the Department of Justice representatives and the community for complaints, mostly to see if some of that goodwill would break out, and unfortunately none did. I was a little disappointed because they promised in the beginning to take testimony about the good and the bad. Let's hear the good and the bad. And there wasn't an opportunity for any good to be said. But the one thing that I took away most, and I thought about you, Jim, because I give you a hard time about your crime stats, but that's only because I appreciate the science behind hot spotting and these trends. And, you know, I always hope that reason breaks out, but if people could understand what effort goes into determining where to allocate resources to better serve the public, they'd understand the value of it. You know, it's best for everybody, but the role playing and things, it always confuses me because I always do think that if you just present enough cold hard facts and reasons, people will come around and change their minds. That's not always the case, but sometimes the role playing, Commissioner Harris, you were talking about, is very helpful. And you know, I don't know, I'm thinking about it. There's got to be some way for the people, the decent people in these communities that are being victimized by the crime, to understand the value of putting in the resources to serve them and treating those resources with dignity and respect. You know, I wouldn't say that if I didn't know that the Sheriff's Department from the top down was full of people with integrity and genuine concern for their community. And I just don't know why we're having a hard time getting that across to everybody. But if people want to open their minds, this is the time of year to do it. Tonight we have our first meeting of the Tapestry Human Relations Commission here in these chambers. I'm all pumped up, and we're going to work on that very thing, bringing this community together. So Merry Christmas, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Commissioner comments. Any comments this afternoon?
Hey, with all the misinformation about AB 109, I'm requesting that we call the Chief of Probation to the next meeting so we can question him on the supervision of their new parolees. Is that possible to do? Okay, thank you. If possible.
Okay, hearing no other comments, again, our next meeting is on the 11th of January, 2012, 10 a.m., and wish everybody happy holidays and Merry Christmas and safe travels. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
With the caseworkers there, to show them what to look for when they turn over these kids to these foster families. Many things as far as improper installation of it, several of these car seats that are being utilized, and a couple of them in that collision that I mentioned, was also